What's up, guys? It's Josh with TheCardGuyz, and today we have something a little bit different for you guys today. I'll be bringing you guys a post-match analysis slash commentary of a game I had in the Division 1 Flesh and Blood Competitive Team League, Week 5. This was actually the deciding game between the two teams, between the TheCardGuyz and FAB Foundry. And yeah, so let's just go over the list here. So I already this is how I sideboarded my deck against Briar. So as you can see, I have my Dawn Blade and I have pretty normal equipment here. I decided to run the Tunic instead of the Courage because I knew that the matchup against Briar had the potential to be a little bit of a longer game, and I also like the synergy it has with Flock of the Featherwalkers. So depending on how my opponent draws, that will dictate whether or not they like to block. So given the fact that there's a strong possibility that my opponent doesn't want to block, I brought in my Twinning Blade package, which is these flocks here, Twinning Blades, Time Snap Potions, Red Hit and Runs. They make for, they allow you to get a triple hit combo pretty easily, as long as you have a Twinning Blade. The rest of the deck is pretty stock here. We have our classic attack reactions like Iron Song Response, Out for Blood, Stroke of Foresight. I decided to run Razor Reflex just to up my attack reaction count a little bit. And as you can see, I'm basically running... This is really a no bullshit Drury build. Like, if it's not Steel Blade Supremacy or something that gives Go Again, I'm not running it pre-combat. You see, there's no Sharpened Steel, there's no Iron Song Determination, there's no Plow Through, there's no Dauntless. It's either Steel Blade Supremacy, Go Again, or Bust, basically. So, given the fact that I play less things pre-combat, that's why I included Razor Reflex here as well. I also have 3 red overpowers and 2 copies of Route. So those are my attack reactions there. And then I run the Rainbow of Warrior's Valor, including some hit and runs here. Glint the Quicksilver, Spoils of War, and Singing Steelblade to search for things as well. Pretty straightforward. I guess the more important thing is, like, why did I not run these things here, right? So the E-Pots, basically, I'm not playing E-Pot and Time Snap unless I'm really, really trying to set up. That's just too many cards that don't block. The Nourishing Emptiness was taken out because I have Flock of the Featherwalkers. I don't need my Null Rune, so I'm not concerned with bringing Null Rune Boots, obviously. Remembrance is basically for, the Guardians, so I don't need that. Plus, it doesn't block. Shatter, there's nothing important that I need to blow up with my with Shatter. And I felt like the defense reactions here were not necessary. I was just going to rely on my armor and my 3 blocks to get the job done. So yeah, that's how I sideboarded my deck. A clean 60. So let's just jump right into the match now, and let's see how that went. All right, guys. We're at the tail end of the sideboarding stage here. In the introduction, I said that this was Team Foundry. That was my mistake. This is not Team Foundry. This is the Week 5 match between the TheCardGuyz and Top Deck Keep. So, as you can see, we have myself playing Dorinthea. My opponent, Brandon, is bringing in Briar to battle. We've already rolled, and my opponent won the roll and decided to go first. For my deck, that doesn't really change any of my sideboarding decisions, but potentially that changed his sideboarding decisions. We'll see. So yeah, this is a very, very important match. We were talking about pre-game, like about experimental builds and how, you know, we weren't really experimenting much because this was the deciding match. The match was 2-2, and, you know, we really wanted to win this for our respective teams. So here we go. Running a clean 60 as Dory. Running the Tunic instead of the Courage. I talked a little bit briefly about why I thought the Tunic was a bit better, because the game had potential to go longer, and it also works really, really nicely with Flock. So my opponent, like I said, is going first. Slams a Channel Mount Heroic onto the board. Probably the best start that you could get. And my opponent is debating here whether or not to attack. So generally you don't want to attack on turn 1 because it lets your opponent filter. However, with Channel Mount Heroic, he's going to try to get rid of like a dead card. So the Revel in Runeblood is like a very, very good example. That card is really, really great. However, it doesn't synergize with the Channel Mount Heroic, which will be on the field next turn. Looking at my hand, this is a really, really good starting hand. If I went first, this would have been amazing. So I'm definitely keeping my Steelblade Supremacy. I'm definitely keeping my blue here. And I'm just thinking about how to put max pressure on my opponent here. Because with the Channel Mount Heroic out, he's basically not going to block. So I think I give him the Iron Song response here, because I'm going to set the Singing Steelblade into Arsenal potentially next turn, or I can just use it to grab Glint or something, maybe push over. So the Singing Steelblade just has more utility than the Iron Song response. So, yep. Okay, so pretty good start from my opponent. He got to filter. He has a Channel Mount Heroic out. He probably has a 4-attack Go Again in his arsenal. And now it's my turn here. So I redraw and do an Out for Blood here. So normally I try to set up with Steelblade Supremacy. However, with Channel Mount Heroic out, I know that I can just, you know, slam this and go, because he is heavily incentivized not to block here. He has no embodiments. He might block with armor here. We'll see. But this is a 5 with on-hit draw. And if my opponent lets this through, I will heavily debate whether or not to pop bolters here. Although it is quite early. There's just... I mean, you're getting in a ton of damage. You're going to get to set a card into Arsenal. You get a counter on Dawnblade, and then you're basically up a turn cycle, which is really, really nice. So my opponent here is just tanking a little bit, trying to think about what to do here. And I'm gonna guess if I had to guess, he's not gonna block here, unless he redrew into a very, very horrible hand. In general, whenever they have Mount Heroic out, they're not gonna block. All right, so I decide to shove over a couple damage here, bringing it up to 8. Just in case, so I did this now as opposed to the second attack, because I'm going to order my triggers here. I'm going to draw. Depending on what I draw, I might blow up the bolters. So we go to draw here. A blue is good. A blue is actually perfect here, because I can pay for the bracers, swing the sword, and still have an energy for Singing Steelblade, which is basically going to mean my attack's going to hit. So I decide to blow my bolters on turn 1 here. Pitch the blue into the bracers and swing. So this is going to be for 6 on hit, draw a card, on hit, counter. And he does not have enough armor here to just throw the fridge in front of it. So if he blocks, I'm going to get reprise here. And yep, so he blocks the Force of Nature. So that's a block for 7. So I'm going to go up to 7 here, and then I'm going to grab the Red Iron Song response and come over by 3 here, getting me a counter, getting me some damage, and getting me a card draw. So drawing that blue off of the first hit was really, really important. If I had not drawn a blue there, I probably wouldn't have blown my bracers there. or blown my bolters there. So I draw, I draw, put that card into arsenal, and pass the turn to him. So he had double force of nature there, nimblism. So now this force of nature is a pretty scary card here. This is a card that I'm gonna have to respect to some degree because the card in arsenal is probably another attack. So for me to stuff his turn here, he's gonna have to miss twice off of his draw. So that to me that feels very unlikely. So what I do here is I decide to block one of his attacks and let one of his attacks through because I just don't have enough card draw or enough defense to deal with two attacks here. Plus I want to keep a card in hand so that I can strike back with my weapon and I could pay for an attack reaction to keep the counter on it. So here it's for 10, so I'm going to block for 10, I believe, here. So keeping the glint here makes the most sense, yep. And I throw my skull cap in there as well, blocking for 10 here. So this shuts off this attack, this shuts off this card draw from Force of Nature, but I presume he still has another card there. Yep, Swarming Gloomveil, one of the best cards there. 7 go again here. And I just do not have the ability to block here. So I just have to take 7 here, give him a card draw, and hope that he can't chain 7 attack into 7 attack into 7 attack. So, yep, taking... Oh, right, he only made one aura, so it's only a 6 there. Yep, so another chunk of damage coming in. And another card draw. And here my opponent is debating whether to play that. Sonata, yep, definitely want to play that. A third Swarming Gloomveil here. But fortunately for me and unfortunately for my opponent, he misses here. So that will end his turn there. That could have been another 7 damage there or more. So, yep. So that will end the turn. That will cause the Mount Heroic to go to the graveyard. And I still have my glint to swing my Dawnblade, and I still have an attack reaction in the arsenal to preserve the counter here. The chance that my opponent has defense reactions is actually somewhat low. If he has one, he'd have to just draw it naturally here. So coming across here for 4, I got an Out for Blood and Arsenal to pump it to 7 potentially. So we'll see here what he wants to do. This is already turn 2 and we've already dropped, into the mid-20s here in terms of life total. So he just lets that hit. And he's going to strike back with 4 cards. I draw into a very, very strong hand here. One of the strongest hands that you can actually draw here is a unconditional go again with Spoils of War. And then Singing Steel Blade or Twinning Blade. Reason being, you can grab Twinning Blade and go around their block. Or having 2 blues here is really good because you could even go over. You could go over their block by Singing Steel Blade into Overpower, or you can go around their block with Singing Steel Blade into Twinning Blade. So this hand here is just amazing. Having 2 blues, unconditional go again, Singing Steel Blade, and a Out for Blood in the arsenal, plus a Charge Tunic. This is like so good that I'm just not going to block here. So he plays Bramble Spark, makes a rune chant, attacks with Scar for Scar. And so the arcane damage lands, he gets an embodiment. And this is 7 here. So when he played it, he had less life than me. So the attack gained to go again. So even though we're at the same life now, the rune chant was after the card was played. So here, just going to drop down to 18, I presume. There's some argument for blocking with the bracers because then I can ensure that I get to block twice with them. But I think with 25 life, I'm still very likely to get 2 uses out of the bracers. So he takes 7 here. He has go again. He has 2 resources here, potentially. But I think there's just going to be Rosetta into... No? Okay, a snatch here. Okay, so this is somewhat threatening here. Because he still has Snapdragons here. So here, I'm like, well, you know what? I can... I'll be okay with just 1 blue. I could still go... Because my Tunic will be on 3, I could go Spoils of War, swing Dawnblade, overpower, take Tunic, swing Dawnblade. Sorry, out for blood, not overpower. So yeah, I just block with overpower, block with the skull cap there. Just don't want to give him an opportunity to potentially run away with, or put something really, really good into arsenal here. So in comes Dawnblade for 6, natural go again on hit, make 2 copper. And so from my opponent's perspective, this is not an easy turn to block, because without defense reactions and with unconditional go again, very, very, very bad things can happen to you, as we're about to see. So my opponent has an embodiment here, and I have a Dawnblade counter here, and he has a life lead. So I know that he's quite heavily incentivized to block here. So I'm expecting a block from him. How much of a block? Not quite sure. But with 2 cards in hand, charged Tunic, I could easily bring this up to 12. So very likely my opponent's blocking here for 9 or 12. And looks like he's going to throw the whole hand down there. So with the embodiments, this is 12, I believe. Yep, getting out the dice. No, 11. 2, 2, 4, 3. Okay, so it's 11. A little bit of an awkward block there. But with Singing Steel Blade, we're just going to go around this. Easy peasy here. So brings it up to 7 here. We're going to go searching for Twinning Blade. We're going to resolve damage. And then we're going to use the Tunic to swing. So this preserves my Dawnblade counter. And gives me a 5-card hand next turn. And he loses his embodiment. So this, it might have seemed like this turn cycle I didn't really do anything. Except get 4 damage in. And make 2 copper. But actually this was a very, very devastating... This is basically the beginning of the end here for my opponent here. No embodiment of Earth. Nothing in arsenal. Armor's already used. I have a very good read that he probably has no D-reacts. I have a 5-card hand. So yeah. So my opponent passes back to me. I take my Tunic up. And with this hand here... just going to pitch the hit and run here. And try to get max value here with Glint. Yeah, no other way to do it. Having 3 pumps in my hand right now means I can get to 13. So that is pretty nuts here. It's very unlikely that my opponent will be blocking for 13. And this kind of just shows how 1 Dawnblade counter can already like run away with the game here. So we swing for a very, very suspicious naked 4. So my opponent here maybe might be considering no blocking this, considering he got blown out pretty massively last turn. And he still has some life to work with. The thing is, he basically needs 2 turn cycles here to get back in the game. And with his life total after my attacks here, that may not be possible. Especially considering I still have fresh Braveforge bracers. So we'll see what my opponent here wants to do. Looks like he's going to block for a bit. Okay, more than a bit. So he's going to block for 7 here. So blocking at +3. All right, so we're going to glint here first to see what we draw. This also helps us with the Stroke of Foresight as well. Okay, a blue. It's totally fine. We can use a blue. So here we're just going to double pump with Out for Blood. Double reprise here. Going to give +2 to the next attack. And add 6 here to the damage. Passing priority here. So my opponent's going to take 3. Okay. So with the Time Snap Potion, I can pitch that, Bracer, swing, still have enough energy for Stroke of Foresight. And yeah, this attack's going to come in for, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Yep. And with the Stroke of Foresight still in my hand, 1 card in his hand, this is basically not getting stopped. So yep, 7 on hit. Get a counter. All right, so he drops down to 11. I set the Stroke of Foresight in the arsenal. Nothing much my opponent can do, just passes back to me. And we have a blue and we have a Warrior's Valor, so we're good to go. So in comes Red Warrior's Valor, swing for 8. On hit, go again. I have 2 pumps at my disposal here, so this can go up to 14. So I'm definitely keeping my counter here. Potentially killing him this turn, we'll see. And this is something that happens to Briar when that she loses control of the game. Is without embodiments and without defense reactions, like Dory just cuts you up. So we see a big block here for 8. But Xaxes is not going to cut it here. So I'm a little bit worried that he has a defense reaction here. But we'll see. So basically I'm going to play the Stroke of Foresight first. And then see what I can get. If I can get a blue, that would be ideal. I can switch the Warrior's Valor for a blue. And then I'll have enough resources for the Razor, the Bracers, and the Swing. And perfect. I draw the blue Warrior's Valor. Okay, so we're going to put the red one back on the top. We're going to keep the blue. That's not right, Josh. What are you doing? Oop. Okay, there we go. Come on. There we go. All right, so yeah, there's no need to play the Razor Reflex here. So I'm just going to pass priority here. So him letting the damage, passing priority to damage there tells me he doesn't have a D-React. And so I go Bracer into swing for 6. And I think my opponent decides to not block here. He declares no blocks, and I raise reflex, sending him to -1. Yep, so a very, very, very clean game there. He had a lightning press in hand, couldn't block. Yeah. So with that, the card guys take the week 5 match against Top Deck Keep. So yeah, this was Josh. I hope that you guys learned something from this Dorinthea game. I hope you guys enjoyed, this little bit of this different content here as well. All right, I'm out. See ya.